different, you know.
When you first set out to create GLOMO, was it always a vision that you had in your mind, or was it something that you know, as you kind of grew within the industry, you saw a niche and you kind of dabbled, like, should I go for it? Should I not?
Yeah, it's a really good question. No, I had no idea, honestly, what it was. A couple things happened. I was in my job, but I wanted more, right? I was kind of unsatisfied in the scope of what I was doing and the opportunity that I had in that role. And I wanted more. And I was like, you know, I need to have my own thing. I felt that for sure. And I had a lot of creative energies that weren't being utilized as well. And so I first went out to go buy a company. I went out to go buy a tiny little moving company. I was like, oh, let me find some little moving company up in Detroit, or some little freight company, or some little, you know, some small, something that I could afford. I didn't have any money really, so I would get a SBA loan. So I'm looking at these, you know, kind of transportation and trucking based jobs, because that's what I'd come from. And I was like, oh, if I could get me a little moving company, maybe I could go to NEI and say, hey guys, you know, let me do some moves for you. So I had all these relationships, right? And I went and looked at these opportunities, and my wife, and this is like the blessing that is wives, right? Like, they always have this wisdom, right? And this intuition, you know? And she's like, Ben, you don't even know how to change your own oil. Why would you buy a trucking company? Like, you go to the warehouse and they make fun of you because you don't like to load boxes and trucks and you're lazy. Why would you buy a moving company? You're gonna be on a truck in the end of June trying to figure it out. Like, you're gonna die on that truck. What are you doing? And I was like, you know what, honey, you're right. Like, this isn't for me. But I knew I needed to get my own thing. And I said, well, what do I really love? And I think when you look for your purpose in life, find the thing that you would do for free that someone would also pay you for. And whatever the intersection of those two things are, that's like your purpose.
That second one is gold.
Yeah.
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 What people will pay you.
And what people pay for. Yeah, because there's a lot of things I love. Like, I love doing pottery. I love to, like, you know, coach and mentor young people. I love to do a lot of things. But the one thing that people would pay me for is being a connector.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started doing something, honestly, just out of the goodness of my heart, just something that came naturally for me, is I started making introductions for my friends. So I was working for a moving company, and I was selling in the course of that. So I'd sell to, you know, corporations, or, you know, relocation management company like NEI, right? And I had this great relationship, but I could only sell them one thing. I could only sell them moving. But they buy so many things. They buy so many services, right? And I knew all these phenomenal entrepreneurs out there that were fantastic companies, but just didn't have those same relationships that I had. And I was like, well, let me introduce you real quick to Randy Wilson over NEI. She's phenomenal. You'll love her. She'll love you. You guys can do great things together. And I did. And I started doing that with my friends, and they started sending me checks. And they're like, that was a very valuable introduction you just made. We've closed a lot of business together. We've done some really great things. I didn't even realize they were going to pay me for it, you know? Mm-hmm. And you know, the first day you go to your mailbox and you see a check in there, and you're like, I didn't even do this for the money. I did this because I just wanted to help a friend. But now I'm realizing, wait, there's a business here, mm-hmm. you know? And in that first year that I started GLOMO in June of 2020, incorporated just on the side, just to have a place to put some of this mailbox money and stuff. I made like 54 grand that year on the side. And I'm like, this isn't quit your job money, but it shows that there's a proof of concept here. There's product market fit, and this can be seed money to kind of bless something going forward, you know?
Mm-hmm. So how did you take it from that to now you have your own staff, you know, you're responsible for payroll and all that stuff, you know, and you have a vision for the future of GLOMO. Like, how did you do that?
You know, you never forget that first opportunity that you're given. And I'm sure if I asked, you know, Randy and Kate, you know, they'd say the same thing, or any entrepreneur, that first client that trusts you with their business, sometimes even when it's not a real thing yet, mm-hmm. and they trust you enough just off of who you are as a person to give you their business and their trust and their money to do something. And I had two clients at that point who I was doing like little side projects for. And I said, listen, I think my time has run its course at my current job, and I want to go out and do my own thing. If I quit my job, would you hire me for half of what I'm making today? Would you hire me for half of what I'm making today? And they both said, yeah. And I was like, okay, cool. So now I knew my floor was covered, right? I knew my I knew my mortgage was covered. I had a wife, 2 kids, a house. I mean, I knew that was covered, but I also knew, hey, if I could go get 2 more clients, I could double my income.
Mm-hmm.
So my floor was covered, but my ceiling was unlimited,
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay, I think I have a business now. And so that's what I did. And so I went in and I put my notice in at my company and sold my house, moved to Texas, started my own business. And it was unbelievable. I'm very blessed and fortunate that it happened that way.